Hi everyone, I just want to walk through a couple of things to make sure you understand how this course works, point out some common misunderstandings, and just kind of walk through just a couple of little things. So by now, hopefully you've all gotten the video and been able to get signed into the course and access Connect. So if you've signed in and you go to Cobra and then select the course that you want to go into. So if I go into our online course for this fall, and just a couple of quick things, two news items right here front and center. This first one says go to the content tab and start with course information. You can read things from there. This other thing, there's a note that says do not scratch off your Connect access code. To address something that's been asked in email, basically we're using a new version of Connect. The cards that you have were for the old version of Connect, and so what we did is we worked out a deal where we're going to get the new version basically for free, but we have to collect cards from people to be allowed to stay in the course. But right now you don't even need to give me the card and you'll be able to access everything. It's just if you don't turn in the card, then we'll have to unfortunately drop you from the class. So get those cards turned in just as soon as you can, but by no means do you have to wait to access the course before you turn those or before you turn the cards in. So get in, get started, and get rolling. So we'll walk through a couple of things here. First of all, content is where everything is located, so we want you going there first. If I click on the content tab, this area over here really kind of works like a set of folders. Right now only week 1 is open. That's because we're making some changes, but soon a lot more will appear here. But for starters, under course information, there's a couple of things that we want to point out. There's the syllabus for the course. You'll want to read that. There's just a print version of the schedule, just kind of in broad strokes to remind you of some things. Now, my disclaimer on that print version is that's just sort of a convenience. You're ultimately responsible for whatever it says on Cobra, so if we have to make some changes, they'll be there and plain and easy to see. There's information about the exam that you'll take. You'll take the midterm exam on campus. The final exam will also be on campus, and it'll be at a different location, but more information on that later. There you want to read about the binder requirements. Here's just kind of a written version of how this course works that I clicked on sort of inadvertently. And there's a thing on how to upload written work. I want you to read that carefully. But actually, glad I clicked on that one. I want to point out something. At every single page in the course information, you'll be able, or for that matter under content, you'll be able to tell this little bar that under course information we've clicked on one of 6 topics. So if you haven't clicked on everything, then you will, it's pretty obvious. And so your goal, one of your jobs, one of your responsibilities is to make sure you've looked at everything that's available. So notice there's a little check mark that tells me that, sorry about that, little check mark here that tells me that I've clicked on this particular item. Math websites, that's just useful information, but now I want to get into actually a piece of the course. So if I click here, then I get into lesson 1.1, and then there's 2 things here, the resources and the portfolio assignments. This is a little bit subtle, but I want to point this out to you. I'll scroll down just a little bit. Right now, if you'll look, portfolio assignments is one of the sort of subfolders that I could click on. All of those things are listed here, all the things under portfolio assignments. If you actually click on this, some of the directions that you don't see here will appear. So in other words, if I click this now it sort of gives me a summary, and it also gives me some additional directions. Now don't worry, you might think, well, how do I supposed to know that? These directions here that you don't see in one of the further back views, if you actually click on the topic for the discussion board in this case, those directions are appear right here at the top. So really the big moral of the story is always read directions carefully before you do any particular piece of the course. So I'm just going to back up. Notice across the top, you can those are kind of the nested subfolders of categories. I can just either back up or I can click here. So I'm just going to back up one level and back up one more click, and that's going to take me all the way out of content. So I'll click here again, and it takes me back to kind of where we were. I've got a list of things in lesson 1.1. If I click here, and again, just to point this out, this tells me that I've only clicked on one of the 14 topics in lesson 1.1. If I click on 1.1 resources, that tells me I haven't clicked on anything under lesson 1.1. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that you're holding yourself accountable and that you've at least looked at everything that we have. So now to get a little bit more specific, under every lesson you'll have resources and then you'll have the portfolio assignments. Under resources, you've got some things that you'll need as you do the lesson. Here's some information it tells you to use for the pie chart on people's math feelings. There's some information you're supposed to use. Here, by the way, this is an important one. Right here is where I actually have a blank version of the first 3 lessons. So if for whatever reason you haven't bought the book yet, you have a blank version of the first 3 lessons right there. That will not continue beyond this week. So just be aware that that basically what I'm saying is you have no real excuse not to get in and get started, because there's what you need in terms of notes, and you already have access to the homework. So even if you haven't bought anything just yet, you can get in and get started and do everything you need. So that I'll just kind of leave alone. There's a lot of information here, but this is exactly what it says. It's resources that you need as you do this lesson. One of the pieces that I want to point out is that there are hints videos available with every lesson that we'll do. Those hints videos, I guess what I'll say is this. Ideally, you're working through these problems on your own as much as you can, posting questions to the discussion board as appropriate. If you need a little nudge, the hints videos are intended to be just a little nudge. They're not intended to give away much. And so if you're looking to have everything explained to you, the hints videos might be frustrating. There you'll want to go look at the solution videos. But we don't encourage people to look at the solution videos right away, because that sort of defeats the purpose of you trying to struggle and trying to figure things out. So use the hints videos and the solution videos wisely. Let's see, if I back up here to the portfolio assignment, I want to address the discussion board, and this is a very important piece. If you read the directions there, it says, first post your solution to page 7, question 2. Show all your work, upload a PDF with Genius Scan, or type out your work. Back under course information, it walks you through how you use this Genius Scan, so don't worry about that or think that we're just hanging you out to dry there. That's a pretty handy little app that allows you to upload your written work. Then after you've made that post, you're supposed to respond to someone else's post or ask a question. The important thing to understand is that until you've done this, the solutions will not unlock. So the solutions, there are solutions available. The solutions will not unlock until you've done this for every single lesson. And so this is sort of your measure of how well are you doing in terms of doing the work on your own, trying to do something before you actually see the solutions. The technology assignment, keep an eye on those. Those match exactly what we're doing in the book in some cases. In some cases I might condense or combine some of the assignments. So the book is there for you to use as a guide. Please do whatever it says here. So just read the directions there. There's how you'll get out to connect every time. You could click the connect link up here or click the connect link here. It's just there's a way to check whether you've done it if you are into using those checklists. If you click here, that'll take you out to connect to do what you're supposed to do. Here's where you're going to upload one piece from your applications. Now I want to talk about this for just a second. I'm going to go to Connect, and I'm here as a student right now, so this is what a student will see. I click here, and I've already gone through the sync process. Right now, I see Lesson 1.1 and Lesson 1.2 are what are due on Wednesday for my Wednesday deadlines this week, so I need to do these 2 lessons. You are responsible for writing down everything you do neatly in Connect. So if I were doing this assignment, I would click here, start the assignment, and I would write, here's Lesson 1.1, and then Problem 1, write my work. Problem 2, write my work. Problem 3, and so on and so forth. You're responsible for doing that. That's a very, very important part of your portfolio. It helps make this work meaningful. If all you're doing, I tell people, if all you're doing is scratching things out and putting an answer in with no work to justify it and nothing to go back on, then quite frankly you're just wasting your time. So we want this to be meaningful. We want you to have an accurate record of what you've done. Then when you do Lesson 1.2, you start a new page or draw a line in your page or whatever you're doing and say, here's my Lesson 1.2 and here's Problem 1. Now I'm going to back up, and what this is about, go back to my content page, and right there where it says 1.1 applications, from the work you are doing in Connect is where you will upload your work for problems 13 through 15. That's the Connect assignment. So when it says Lesson 1.1 skills, that takes you to Connect. So right there, so those problems are some of the applications problems in Connect, and that's what you're going to upload. There's where you're going to answer some of the reflections questions. This says, if you read the directions, it says all of the reflections questions on your own, answer all of them on your own, keep a record, and then type your answers to the questions indicated below. So all you're doing is writing out the answer to question 2. And apologize for this being jumpy, but I want to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about here. What we're referring to is these reflections questions. The question 2, I know there's a typo here, there's 2 of them. The why are you in college? So these are the reflections questions that we're referring to, and there's where you're going to post those answers on the discussion board. The applications, and you have to bear with me, after you get going this will make more sense. The applications, this is going to sound a little bit confusing. After you've clicked on this and done what you're supposed to do up here on the discussion board, the answers or the solution videos to all of Lesson 1.1 are going to become available to you. That even includes the answers to these applications questions, the ones from your book. So those I want you to think of almost as a practice, that you can do those, and then there's a lecture video that will tell you the answers, tell you how to do them. After you've done those and unlocked all that is when then you should be doing this assignment on Connect and posting these here. So make sure that you kind of try to do things in the right order. That's why we had you do this first, then those things will unlock, then you can get lots of practice. So I know I've thrown a lot at you. The big keys are read the directions all the time. Make sure that you've checked everything off. Pay attention to this bar, that you've looked at everything, and just make sure that you understand that we're having you use the book, but we're trying to make this fit with an online course. So just read the directions and pay attention to when we've changed things just slightly. And most importantly, please email or call or come by if you have questions. Best of luck, and hope this was helpful.